Hi guys and welcome back to the show. With all the changes that have been going on in the workshop, I now need a space for my bandsaw, my belt and disc sander and my pillar drill. I was thinking about just building another workbench and putting it on casters, but then I thought, I need practice making cabinets. So in this video, it's cabinet practice. Look, I am Nomad Makes. To start, I sketched out a rough plan on a scrap piece of plywood. This will be a fairly simple and utilitarian cabinet with two compartments, one small intended to hold a shop vac and one larger for some bins. I'm trying a standard cabinet design with some slight changes like rebates on the sides and a groove for the middle divider. For the back I will use the bracings for strength and to square up the cabinet, and I will house the backplate in grooves. This is the first project where my new Laguna Fusion 3 cabinet saw gets to play lead role, so this video may be a bit table saw centric. First I ripped the sides and middle divider to width, and I specifically designed them so that they would be within the capacity of my DIY MFT. This I promptly forgot, and we will get back to that later. This is the bottom of the cabinet and the largest sheet I have ever cut on a table saw in my workshop. Ever. I then started mucking about trying to cross-cut the sides on the table saw, since I apparently had forgotten that they were designed to fit between the widest dogs on my MFT. And this really didn't work out. The reason I'm not just running them along the fence is because the short sides are not squared up yet. I eventually tried reversing the miter gauge and using it like a Norm Abram style panel cutting sled, which I need to make by the way, and then flipping the panel over. Finally I found my bearings, and this is the way I was planning to cross-cut the panels all along, on my DIY MFT with my track saw. I've got most of the outlets in my shop on remote, the cable reel in the roof as well. Mind you, they are all behind physical switches as well, as this remote signal is not very unique and a shop vac running for hours is a real fire hazard. So a scoring cut first and then a normal plunge cut to the set depth. And we are well within tolerance. Since there is a bit of basic joinery in this build, I need some notes and marks. I tend to just write straight on the wood, this being a shop project and all, but here I seem to be starting my first novel. I am making this cabinet from plywood I had on hand. The sides are some horrible 19mm red temp, the top and bottom 15 or 16mm formwork plate, and the back some really horrible 9mm-ish stuff I tore off a shipping crate. After the world's quickest unboxing, meet my new router, the CMT9E, which is basically a renamed Triton. This has an integrated lift and I tend to fix it in my workbench, so you may not get to see that much of this. I chose to cut the rebates in the sides instead of the bottom to add load-bearing strength to the construction. Whether or not this was a good idea, we will talk a bit about at the end of the video, so stick around. This red temp plywood is a real hassle to work with. The top veneer is paper thin and really brittle, so I scored the cut to prevent tear out. Using a wider bit here would probably have given me a smoother cut, but in an additional attempt to prevent tear out, I instead used my sharpest bit, which is a 6mm CMT spiral upcut bit. These periscope magnets are your best friend ever when you drop the arbor nut during a blade change. This one even has a light at the end. Of course I didn't drop the nut this time because I had the magnet on hand. To house the grooves for the back panel, I plan to use my 6mm CMT grooving blade. I am not willing to ruin my brand new insert plate using such a wide blade, so I needed a zero clearance insert plate for the grooving blade. Only problem was I didn't have one. To not go completely Uri Tukman on you, I have made this a separate video. It's a great channel though, Uri. I want the back plates to sit against the bracings in the back, so I used an offcut to get the spacing correct. A quick test cut to get the right fit in the groove. Then I could offer up one side to get the correct measurements for the bracings. Laguna says in the user's manual that the fence must not be used on the left side of the blade, that the rail is only there to hold the on-off switch. And from the pictures I've seen of older models I can kind of understand this, but on this model the rail is really sturdy, and as a southpaw I prefer using the fence on the left. I used a test piece to copy the width of the grooves. This may not get you the perfect size, but it works well to get it roughly there. With the side panel and middle divider dry fit, I rechecked the measurements for the bracings. The width of the bracings is just an arbitrary size that I thought would be good, and that I had enough of the offcuts. Since I'm using bracings both in the back and under the top, I used a stop block to get equal sizes. And now it's time for some fun with pocket holes, and hoping we don't get pranked by Baby Vader. I've had some feedback on my pocket hole spacing not being equal and symmetrical, so this time I painstakingly measured them out, and this had some unintended consequences you'll get to see later. These Wolfcraft corner clamps are fantastic help when assembling boxes, although I might invest in some more heavy duty that will also help squaring up the corner. Since I've only made one clamping square, I fixed one side with screws and then moved the clamping square. I really need to make some more of these. One day. That ends with a Y. Like a Thursday. Or Friday. Then it's the old straw in the corner trick to get the squeeze out. Pocket screws go in at an angle and they tend to pull your work out of position. So I'm supporting them from behind with a block and using this as an excuse to fire in some more brad nails with my brand spanking new brad nailer. I never knew firing brads were such fun. I know people like the battery powered brad guns, but they don't have that extremely satisfying pa-chung sound. And this is what happened to the perfectly symmetrical pocket holes. The screws met exactly in the middle, and this side wouldn't bottom. Talk about unintended consequences. And Baby Vader insisted he had nothing to do with this. But I don't know, you know. The size of this cabinet is more or less the largest I have capacity to build in my little 12 square meter or 130 square feet shop. And it got really awkward having to dance it around the shop after a while. I only had 4 casters of the same size in storage. I intended to get another pair, but this construction seems really rigid, so I may just leave it with only 4 casters. After cutting the first piece of the panel to size, I literally proceeded to assemble the cabinet off camera. So here is take 2 after some adjustments. This plywood I pulled off some shipping crate is some real nasty stuff. I pulled out most of the nails and pins, but I'm not dragging this across my shiny new cabinet saw without taking the edges off first. I thought I'd quickly show you the setup I have here with the DIY MFT and the track saw. There is a roof mounted shop vac behind me and a cable reel in the roof as well. The saw tucks in inside the workbench, and the rail has a space on the wall, and the end of the extension cable has a hook in the roof to keep it from dangling in my face, because that would be really annoying. I also found an excuse to fire more brads. So let's talk a bit about the construction or design of this. Am I pleased with it? Very. It is really rigid and strong. The sides sit on top of the bottom because of the rebate, and the top sits on the sides again. So this thing can really hold a ton of weight. And the braces make it very rigid. Would I build it like this again though? No. See, if you want to be efficient at building these things, the parts needs to be more, what you might call it, standardized. And the dado construction made the top differ from the bottom, the middle divider unique, and the side panels mirror images of one another. So when I build more cabinets, I think I will try simple butt joints with dowels or biscuits. I may end up making a pair of drawers for this later. And I may use that as an opportunity for practicing drawer building, basically. But for now, I am happy with the build, and I need to get on to more important projects. But again, that is it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to leave a thumbs up and tell me if you like this kind of longer video format as well. If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. Should you want to support me, you'll find a Patreon link and affiliate links to products I use and recommend below. If you don't feel like that, you can help by telling your friends about the channel on your social media of choice. Cheers guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Bandsaw.
It's called a bandsaw.